France and Germany have invented a novel form of statecraft. You admit you lied when you signed and promised to implement one agreement, but then you insist that you are ready yet again to sign and to implement the very same agreement. The agreement in question is the 2015 Minsk Accords between Kiev and the representatives of the self-proclaimed Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics. The deal envisaged reintegration of the breakaway republics into Ukraine in exchange for a constitutional amendment granting them autonomy. Germany, France and Russia were the guarantors. Recently, however, former German Chancellor Angela Merkel declared that the true goal of Minsk was to buy time for Ukraine to rearm. Ukraine, she claimed, used this time to get stronger. Back then, Putin could easily have overrun Ukraine. Former French President François Hollande has now echoed Merkel's assessment. In the aftermath of Minsk, says Hollande, Ukraine has, quote, strengthened its military posture. The Ukrainian army is completely different from what it was in 2014. The intent of Minsk was not reintegration of the breakaway republics. No, the intent was to stop Putin in his tracks. Were it not for Minsk, Putin would have pushed the front line as far back as possible. Minsk prevented expansion of the area controlled by the separatists. In other words, Putin was a fool. He could have taken Ukraine in 2014, but was stopped from doing so by the fiendishly clever duo of Merkel and Hollande. Hollande, however, adds a bizarre twist. Any lasting solution for Ukraine, he says, must be based on, yes, Minsk. The agreement, he says, can be resurrected to establish a legal framework accepted by all parties. Huh? You mean the agreement you never took seriously? The agreement you now admit you entered into in order to fool Russia? That agreement is to provide a legal framework for the future? And the Russians are stupid enough to accept your word a second time? However, Hollande's absurdities don't stop there. He claims that Putin's objective in 2014 was, quote, the total conquest of the Donbass. But if Putin were determined to conquer the Donbass, why agree to Minsk, the outcome of which was to be reintegration of the Donbass into Ukraine? And why agree to Minsk when all Putin needed to do in 2014, if his goal really were annexation of the Donbass, was recognize the results of the independence referendums held in Donbass in May of that year?